All right, y'all, so we are getting ahead on a lot of things on the Z4 here behind me. So as you guys know, we're gonna be doing a single turbo top mount kit from Speed Tech. I already actually ordered it, so it's on its way, but I've been working on the Z4 and I already got the twin turbos out. I didn't end up making a video on that just because I really didn't know what I was doing. I was just kind of jumping into the project since there are no videos on the Z4, especially for removing the turbos. And at that point, I didn't even know if I was going to actually have to drop the subframe on this in order to remove the twin turbos. I'll talk a little bit about it just so you guys know, but it's gonna be a real quick rundown on it. Basically, I didn't even have to drop the subframe. I just started taking everything apart, including the oil lines and the coolant lines for the twin turbos. So just little things here and there I was taking off, all the way until I got down to the turbos themselves, which I unbolted the manifold and took out the front turbo first and then the rear turbo, and they came right out. There's actually enough room in the Z4 where you can remove the twin turbos from the top, as long as you start removing things one by one, including the charge pipe on the turbo side and the coolant feed pipe that connects to your radiator as well. So those two things also make a lot more space once you remove those. But enough of the talking. It's a lot better if I just pop the hood on the car and show you guys of what it looks like with those turbos removed. All right, here you guys go. So as you can see, it looks a lot different under the hood here. The turbos are no longer there. They're completely gone. I've kind of taped off everything, every exposed hole after removing all of the lines and the manifold and the coolant feed pipe, as you can see there. That's what it's looking like. And now back to why I'm making this video, which has nothing to do with removing the twin turbos. Before the single turbo comes, I'm kind of doing things a little different just to kind of use my free time and take advantage of the time that I have right now. Instead of waiting until I install the turbo, I decided I'm going to wire up the Mac solenoid here. This is a 3-port Mac solenoid, and we're going to be using this to control the boost pressure through MHD. So we have to wire this. We don't have to wire this Mac solenoid in. It does connect to the front boost control harness here. We're not going to be using the rear one, which is over here. It's kind of just tangled up here. We're only going to be using the front one. But in order for that to work through MHD, normally in other cars, so the 135i, 335i, the ECU is on the passenger side. On the Z4, it's on the driver's side. So we're going to access that, the ECU, and repin one of the connectors so that MHD can control that boost control. We're going to be doing that. So instead of using two O2 sensors, we're going to only be using one, which is the black one. And instead of wrapping around the back down below and connecting down below, it's going to wrap around the front and connect to the manifold once it's in. So it's only going to use the black wiring oxygen sensor and also the black wiring oxygen sensor down below, so the secondary one. But I'm going to be doing a hood exit on this. So the black one from down below, secondary, is going to come up into the hood exit pipe. Enough of that. We'll get more into that once I have the turbo installed. But for now, we're going to do the wiring. Okay, so for you Z4 guys, you're going to get to see how to do it on the driver's side here, instead of having to try to reference the passenger side on the other BMW models. However, it is actually pretty similar, so it's not that big of a deal, but you get to see it this way. So as you can see, I accessed the ECU here by removing the cover. And then what we did is we pulled on the tabs on each side of the ECU here for the harnesses to be released. So here you can see the pull tab over here on this side. So once you do that, you also want to relieve the clips on the back here. You can see that in the middle, and then over here on the middle of the screen as well. That clips onto the ECU to keep it in place. So you want to pull back on those tabs so that you can pull out the ECU a little bit. So now that we did that, we can actually unplug these. And I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys. There's just one pin that we're gonna be moving. So I'll show you guys how to do that and which pin to remove and where to move it to. All right, so we have both of these connectors removed from the ECU. And as you can see, we're kind of be looking at things upside down, but there's this white connector here that we're gonna slide off. So you release the connector by pushing back on a pin over here, which I already did, that's holding it in. Slide it off. And now we're gonna be moving pin number 7 on this, which is a white and gray wire. Pin number 1 is on the top right. So we counted over 7, which you can see this one's starting to get a little empty because I started to pull out the white and gray wire. So we're gonna pull that completely out here. So now you can see that it's been removed. We're gonna go ahead and repin that to a different area. We are now done with that connector. So we can go ahead and take this white connector, or you can call it a sub connector here, put it back where it was, and there's an arrow on here to show you which way goes in so that you reinsert it correctly into its original place. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and then we're gonna move this white and gray wire over to this other connector here, which I'll show you once I put this connector all back together. Quick update, I cut the tape over here that was holding the wires together like these other tape bits are doing, and that gave me some more slack on this pin, so I have more room to work with when moving this. So I just wanted to let you guys know to do that, and then I just used a zip tie to kind of get them all back together. As you can see too, I hope this doesn't confuse you guys as well, but this wire that I have here, this is another modification that I did to my car, which is from Nexus. So that you won't have this. This is an additional MHD modification in partnership with Nexus to protect your engine. So all this does, it's an actual oil pressure sensor, so a real one, as opposed to the OEM one on the N54 that kind of really tells you after the fact of it being too late if you're low on oil or out of oil. This one gives you an actual measurement so you can tell how much oil pressure you have, and then it also acts as a safety net. So I have a video on that. I'll link that down below in case you guys want to watch that. But just I know in other videos sometimes when people have other things, you're kind of wondering what that is when your car doesn't have it. So I just wanted to make sure to mention that. But let's get back to this. I'll put this back together and then we'll get back to repinning this. On this one, we're going to be taking out the black sub connector. So you can see there's a gray one and then a black one. So this black top one, and in order to get access to that black one, we're gonna have to remove this entire clip here. So in order to do that, there are holes here in the back. So right here and on the bottom, which I can't really show you, but the opposite side, and we have to push on those in order to release this and pull it out all the way. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And then once again, release this black sub connector by pushing on that tab, just like we did on the other one to release it. Here we have the arrow that's facing towards the left, and pin 26 is this one. So we're gonna replace that pin 7 from earlier with pin 25 here. That's to the left of pin 26. So I already unclipped it and I just have to pull it out, but that is also a white and gray wire. So here, I'll pull it out now. Here you guys go. Here's the white and gray wire. Now pin 25 removed from this black sub connector. And once again, this is all wrapped around with this piece of tape. So you'll kind of know that this is the original one and not get it mixed up with the other white and gray wire that we have chilling back here, because this one is way over here. It looks like there's enough slack. If anything, I can also give it even more slack. We'll see, because you don't want to strain the wires too much. I can go ahead and let you guys know if I end up cutting more tape to give ourselves more slack so that everything goes back together nice and loose. I guess not too loose, but just tight enough that you're not straining these wires. So now we're gonna put this connector into that spot. So here's the other one. Here's the pin 7 from the other connector. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it in. And then we are not gonna be using this one anymore. So you can wrap it up, just kind of seal it so it doesn't short circuit or anything. I don't know what I'm gonna do yet. I think I might have a plug that will go over this. I have to check, so I might actually cut it, but we will see. The sub connector is now back where it's supposed to be. It's back in its place, and just like the other one, it has an arrow to let you know which way it goes in. I also put this clip back on, so that is there to hold the harness in place once you plug it back into the ECU. And this one's ready too. So both of these are now complete and ready to be plugged in to the ECU and get everything back how it was before you took it apart. And that's it, boys. So that simple repinning here is going to allow MHD to do the single bank O2 fueling option and also control boost control with the max solenoid over there. So this kind of does two jobs in itself by repinning those. The solenoid will now control your boost control, and then you're only going to be running off of one bank. You no longer have to worry about bank 2, whether upstream or downstream. So we'll get more into that with the single turbo installation. But as of right now, the car is ready to run the single turbo just with MHD and, most importantly, a custom tune. So on the MHD app, there's actually two options that you have to check mark in order to turn on the single bank fueling and allow the max solenoid to control your boost control, which you should work with your tuner on. Don't do it yourself. Again, this is going to need a custom tune. So before running the vehicle, make sure you have that tune or some sort of base map tune ready with your tuner before running the car. Well, that is now put back together, so all the bolts are back in, and as you can see, everything fit together pretty nicely. Just like OEM, back to normal. You wouldn't know that this is going to be a single turbo car. It's going to be a little subtle except for the hood exit when that single turbo kit comes. But yeah, I'm going to put all the tools back, close the hood, and then I'll kind of follow up with you guys on everything. Well, that does it for this video, guys. I hope that was helpful and pretty straightforward for you all. I know that there are a lot of other videos for the 135i and 335i on this similar situation. However, I'm also not an expert in all of this, and this is my first time doing it. But with those other videos, it did make it seem like it was a separate process for the single bank fueling and the max solenoid boost control through MHD. Originally, I thought I was gonna have to rewire a couple different things, but this simple repinning of that one connector does those two jobs. So you get the MHD boost control through the max solenoid and the single bank fueling through repinning this one wire, which might seem obvious to a lot of other people, but to people who are new to the single turbo world, who are going from twins to a single turbo, might not know that. So in this video, it's pretty much explaining that just doing that simple DME pinning will get you both of those things, and will get the car ready for that single turbo if you already have it installed or are waiting for it to come in. Anyways, like I said, that does it. If you have any questions, let me know down below, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side.